Pinaki Bhattacharya instigated violence and terrorism in Bangladesh. Following his instructions, thousands of militant and rogue terrorists attacked several institutions of Bangladesh which had connections with founding father of Bangladesh and liberation history of Bangladesh. But why did he order that? He ordered that because he is working in cahoot with Islamist terrorists. It is impossible for someone like him to simply instruct and thousands will carry out such attacks. There needs to be several groundworks, which obviously he can't carry out without the support of united groups of Islamist extremists active on the ground. He's just working as a spokesperson for such groups. It is not that he is instructing and others are carrying out. Those who are instructing this spokesperson, Pinaki Bhattacharya, remain out of the scene. They don't want to be known. Because Pinaki and the leaders of the Islamist groups, definitely they are holding meetings on a daily basis. They are just passing the information, the decisions to Pinaki, and Pinaki, as their spokesperson, just telling the supporters of those groups. The active supporters of those Islamist groups have taken Pinaki Bhattacharya as the spokesperson for the decisions of their groups. You need to investigate how these groups are working. Hizb ut-Tahrir, Islamic State and Al-Qaeda and their sympathizers, Jamaat-e-Islami and their allies, so-called student coordinators, who are just a fringe group of students in Bangladesh who started the campaign as a quota rebellion. But the truth is, it is impossible for these fringe groups, Islamist extremist groups, to work unitedly and in unison without there being meetings amongst them. They are going at places of interest where they want to carry out their attacks in coordination, regardless of their differences. How is it happening? It is happening because those groups, irrespective of their religious differences, those Islamist extremists are holding meetings and passing the information and instruction to Pinaki Bhattacharya to tell the world and to tell their supporters in Bangladesh what to do and what the decision was. For example, Hizb ut-Tahrir, Jamaat-e-Islami, Al-Qaeda and the sympathizers decided to attack Dhanmondi number 32, which was the residence of founding father Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. And that decision was passed to Pinaki Bhattacharya. He just openly declared it, that go ahead and do this and do that and destroy number 32, Dhanmondi. And they did it. And common people are thinking, wow, Pinaki Bhattacharya is the main man who is instructing everything, and these extremist elements are carrying them out. What a leader. But that's not the case, my dear friends. Pinaki Bhattacharya is just the spokesperson. But what the foreign governments need to take note of, when Pinaki said, go ahead and do it, and he is thinking, and he's telling his friends that I couldn't believe it that they would carry it out. But they did. Wow. But the fact is, he instructed Hizb ut-Tahrir, Al-Qaeda and other Islamist extremist groups went to 32 Dhanmondi and destroyed 32 Dhanmondi. So this should be enough to prove that this man has become the spokesperson for the terrorist groups. He's a danger for the country he is living in, France. And he's also a danger for the Western world. It's impossible that he has connections with Islamist extremists in Bangladesh and he doesn't have any sympathizers in contact with him in France. It's simply impossible. I've been working in anti-terrorism issues for decades. I've been trained on the issue and I have legal degrees on the issue. I can sense fire where I can see smoke. So, this man is an undeserving migrant in France. Whatever status his immigration might be, this man should be removed from France. And social media platforms shouldn't offer him any platform where he can use his image or his persona to instruct vandalism, violence, and terrorism. Bangladesh government at present is not an elected government. Bangladesh army is nothing but a poodle army now, unfortunately. The present regime has become part of this terrorist network. And this is also a state-sponsored terrorism because the present government is not willing to protect the civilian infrastructure. And this is not an uprising. Because the students, so-called students and their terrorist allies were the people who had chosen the advisors of the present so-called interim government. So, the present government, Pinaki Bhattachariya, and those who are working behind the scene to send this united force of evil for destructive purposes, they are all nothing but a syndicate of terrorists. And this is nothing but a state-sponsored terrorism. So this is a diversion technique. This Pinaki Bhattacharya is nothing but a diversion. He's just a spokesperson.